So today I woke up pretty early and I decided to use up some more yarn by making this chunky mushroom fellow from a pattern I found on Instagram that I'll link below if anybody's interested. It actually worked up super quick and I think it's so cute, especially with the little bobble stitches for the little limbs. The only thing is I realized I actually don't have any stuffing or any craft eyes for this guy, so I started this whole series to finish up all my works in progress, and I just have another one to add to the shelf. So I did a little bit of online shopping and got some editing done before I got started with the rest of my day. So you might remember from last time that my second work in progress is this purple and blue. I've decided it's probably going to be a t-shirt, and how I like to improvise my designs is by actually using a garment that I already wear a lot. So this is a long sleeve from Uniqlo that I really like. I like the fit on it, I like how it looks on my body, so I'm just kind of using that as a basic template. So I measure both pieces to see how much more I should knit. Right now my piece is about 7.5 inches, and I know that I want it to be about 9 inches tall before I split off the front and back for the armholes. After a quick break for my internship, this was the point where I realized I was playing a game of yarn chicken. So I started brainstorming some ways I could work my way around it and compared some yarn that I had, and I also took this time to figure out my neckline shaping. So after I did the math, I decided to go ahead and start the front and the back, and I am just switching my needles to match. You might have noticed that I actually knit with different size needles. This is because I got this tip from somewhere on Instagram that when you're knitting in the round, the needle in your dominant hand is actually the one that determines the stitch size. So if I wanted, I could use a smaller needle in my left hand to make the stitches easier to slip off, and it just makes knitting in the round a little bit faster. But in this case, because I am working back and forth, I want both needles to be the same size because they will both end up in my dominant hand eventually. So what is actually going on here? Well, I decided that I wanted my two front panels to be 50 stitches wide. This is because the whole thing around is about 200 stitches, so one half is 100 and then left to right, that's 50 each. I put in stitch markers or safety pins if you're like me, and this is where I fucked up. I did not count my stitches correctly, so I actually did not end up with 50 stitches in between my stitch markers. I ended up with some random number. This will come haunt me later. Measure twice, cut once. So I have already worked my right side row. I went all the way across, and then I also worked one wrong side row. I've purled all the way across until I am 3 stitches away from the center line stitch marker. This is where we start splitting it off left to right. and I want to make sure that my decreases are leaning the correct direction just so it has a nice clean border to it. You can see I have 3 stitches left. I'm going to decrease, so use up 2 of those stitches, and then I'll have 1 just to make sure I have a nice clean row. To make sure that my stitches are left leaning, if you're facing the front of the fabric, I will need to do a slip, and then a purl through the front loop. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but you slip the stitches, 2 of the stitches knitwise, and then you slip them back onto your left needle purlwise, and then yarn over, pull through. You might be able to see how the stitch on the right hand side, if you're on the right side of the fabric, is now over the left stitch when you've decreased it. That's our goal in this case. So after you do that, just make sure you purl the last stitch, and then you turn your work, and then same thing over here. So the way that I've decided to shape my neckline is to do 1 regular row without decreases, and then 4 decrease rows. So on the right side of the fabric, it's a lot easier. You just knit 1, and then you slip, knit standard. Hopefully you'll be able to see. So I just continue with that. 1 regular row, 4 decreases, and I'm planning to go until I have about 14 stitches left, because that's how long I want my band to be. At this point, I somehow had not realized my mistake yet, but I did have the foresight to record this video to show how I decrease for the other side. Because remember, we want our decreases to be leaning to the right for this side. This side's a lot easier though. It is just knit or purl 2 3 stitches before the center line, and then depending on what side you're on, you either just knit 2 together or purl 2 together. So a lot simpler for this one and a lot more intuitive. So again, on the wrong side for this half of the t-shirt, you purl 1 and then you purl 2 together, and then you just purl the rest of the row. Unfortunately for my sanity, it took me until I had hit 14 stitches on both sides, so I had decreased all the way before realizing that they kind of look funky and not quite too similar. So I counted them and I realized I never started with 50 stitches, so I had to frog it all and restart. So it is like 9 p.m. now, and I actually do have both of the straps done, measured correctly. So yeah, this is how they look. I'm pretty happy with it. The back is obviously not quite worked yet, but I'm feeling pretty confident about it all. I think I'll just do it pretty simple. I am still worried about how much yarn I have though, so I might end up attaching the blue. We'll see how it goes, but I'll pick this up tomorrow.